Good night, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well, blessed, and enjoying family. As always, thank you to all for everyone's words, wishes, prayers, as the love and support everyone sends and shares with me. From the heart, thank you. Also, thank you to everyone for stopping in on the live tonight. It's highly appreciated. You do help me a lot, right? In the sense of mind wise. Thank you. But getting into what I want to touch on today, this is going to touch on a couple different things that, you know, has been asked of me, right? Which I'm trying to touch on what I'm being asked the most. And of course, like I said, if I could make sense of it with my personal wiggles, right? Or have seen or been there or whatever on a personal tip, right? But I want to talk about what you consider a resident and basically how they wiggle amongst us, right? Inside, and how the other races look when somebody's riding with us. That's a full blown white, black, Chinese egg, right? So this is going to touch around the homie Bent from Westside Locos, or at least is where he hanged out, grew up. He just never got jumped in the neighborhood right before he got busted. And he was busted for putting in good work. It wasn't like, just out there having fun party. No, he buckled down and handled business for West Side locals. But anyways, and definitely a real bad decision in my eyes that came with no thought from somebody that felt and was on top of everyone at the moment and at all times minimizing what the homie had done, right? Which is in this case, Hüero sherm. Everybody knows Hüero sherm did not hesitate, did not touch his heart. You got his bad radar or you did something to cause a conflict. He was real quick to take your career, right? Because again, he could because he had that many people with him. But anyways, where I met the camarada Bent was in Beckerville, right? The homie went by Casper, and like I stated before, I didn't really have the chance to meet the homies out on the yard, right? Because I was still in classification, waiting classification to get clear for yard. But Beckerville's hallways, right? And basically, a norteño touched the homie, and you know, Woods came back in and told us straight up, that is sounding cracking down the yard, right? So anyway, I asked for barter stuff and went out there, and right away I went to the table of the homies, introduced myself, and basically said I shouldn't be out there because of this, and that. But I made it out, and let's boogie, right? That was the whole purpose. After all, I was coming from Solano, from a war zone, really. So, anyways, you know, we had pedazos. Why I got trusted with one, right? And in reality, I'll be sincere, it was trash that I opted to tell the homie, hey, gracias, but I'd rather just use my hands, right, correctly. Yeah, I think I could do more damage than that. Because I guess they had fierros, but as always, somebody has snitched that we were going to rush the norteños. And they had dug their whole table, where they were at. Someone snitched that knew what time it was. Anyways, Haven't really touched on a lot of homies that were there, but the two that were white was Lucifer from man, what barrio was Lucifer from? He was from West LA too. Sorry, I lost the thought of it, right? But anyways, he knew Bent from the county and all, right? And the homie Casper, he was good gente. Again, that resident title is never looked in any type of way inside. He's running with us and he's putting in work, and that's what a camarada is, right? That's what a sureño is. Remember, the titles are earned inside, not outside, right? But anyways, that day, as I said before, we were about to leave. Norteños got up because at first we went over there and we stated, "Hey, what's up? There needs to be war amunos." Because, again, the vato that was there wanted it to be like that. My suggestion was, "Hey, amunos. No buts or is. Let's wait for him to walk laps, and like in Solano, let's grab the first group, being them as as possible till we can stomp in by the rest, right? Because there was a grip of norteños." Anyways, we're about to leave yard. They all get up, and you can see this big ola of them, right, walking across the yard. And, you know, I already touched on it. They basically stood far from us, but mad dogging and stuff like that, right? And it was me, Sim from Compton, Serio from Pacoima in front, and me being stupid, I was the first one to rush in, right? And one of these days, I'll show you the scar from that day I got in the back of my head because I don't know what they received me with, right? But I binked on one. Next thing you know, it was boom, 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 and the only thought was going through your head is don't hit the ground or you're gonna get something. We lost that one bad, right? But anyways, the homie Casper was there. He got his share throughout all. Was it Casper? No, there was a homie, the only homie that got stabbed on that riot, right? And it wasn't him, but he did get both eyes black. Anyways, he bucked up for our side, right? Again, he was a camarada, point blank. And when we hit Willis, the hole, you know, I don't know, those that been there is it's kind of weird, right? In the sense that when we first went out there, I guess before I got there, there had been a couple conflicts with the wood pile, right? Over, and I can't even start to tell you, be honest. But there was a bunch of woods back there, right? Like I mentioned, my homeboy Dreamer was back there from my neighborhood, and but it's weird in the sense that it's three tiers. Cells are big, they're bars, but there's only a small window in front, right? Sometimes you can see Solano across the street, at least from the third tier. And you come down this little ladder literally on the side of the building. You go into this cage on handcuffed. You walk in this other cage, and then they let you in the yard, right? One of the two. Well, at first, we were programming with the Cavachos, right? They were on their yard side, and we did our thing on the other side, right? We weren't doing rutina together because the conflict that had happened, it was amongst us. I believe it was over a paisano, and we got involved, right? And the Gabachos were hurt, you know. The vatos that were back there, they were fools, you know. And anyways, there was conflict from the gate. For those that have been on a yard, you could feel it, right? To be on your toes because the minute you see a little group going over there and looking and fake laughing and stuff like that, and It's not that normal bond that we have with what's on the yards, right? Which is joke around, do rutina together, you know, inside the building, share sopas and stuff, Then, right before we went out to yard, they looked at me funny because I don't, like I told you, they went to committee and they tried to say, you're from Sonoma County, right? We could put you with norteños. And as you guys know, we don't tell them anything, right? You could put me wherever you want. And basically, they endorsed me to the norteño yard, even though I was there for a riot against norteños. It's just the way they play the little games, right? And I was on the third tier. Everyone, I'm talking about every single camarada was telling me, nah, fool, don't go out. Because they usually start from the bottom up, right? But it's just another way God was there with me. And not to say he helped me do negative, he helped me from not getting booked straight, right? Because I was going to go out, there was no way I wasn't going to show my presence. That's number one rule, right? There could be one, two of us, were to come out to yard, were to wiggle, to show our presence to everyone there with us. Anyways, God was good, right? He basically, they started the other way around. I was literally, it was Loquillo from Long Beach and me on the second cell from the top tier, right? We were always the last ones. And basically, we should have been the last ones. But since they win, they started off with me. I was the first one on that yard, and I went and took off my handcuff, went on the yard, and then here came a norteño, right? He took off his handcuff and didn't say nothing, because, well, you guys know they have the same guidelines, I guess, about that, right? And he came in the yard. The minute he came in, it was boogie time, you know. I ain't giving time to react. I just binked him. He stomped on the corner, and I just held to the barbed wire, excuse me, of the fence, and I was just stomping him in. I'll be honest, till they busted and they sprayed us. That was my welcoming in the hole, right? So, anyways, after I went to committee, they started that, why didn't you say that you're a sureño and this? The only thing I said, hey, why am I back here in the hole? Or you're in the sureño Hispanic, southern Hispanic, northern Hispanic thing. Okay. And which side was I on, And it just made no sense. Anyways, when in time they cleared me for the yard is when we went out to yard and again we were the wood pile and them fools looked at me funny, right? Which I didn't mind by that time. I was like, man, let him do something, but I had a fierro and before the tower hit, I was gonna get paid, right? Because you could tell them fools were business. They weren't gonna just want to knuckle up, right? Anyways, the first issue came when I had the rutina, right? They assigned me to basically take control of the yard as rutina and what needed to be done as a program, and you know, and the homie that was with me in front, which was my homeboy creeper from my neighborhood, he had parole, right? So me rumbling with the homie Casper, of course you come to care for a camarada that you see that, you know, Me and him, actually, I told you guys, we were the only ones when Yar had gone down. Norteño jumped up and they started banking on Lucifer with uh with canes, right? And we were the only two that got up, and we boogied a little bit long till they sprayed me. I honestly had not felt the cut in the back of my head. I think I got hit with a cup or a rock. I don't know. It's literally about 4 inches, something to that, till they sprayed me when we got back up. It's something. Woo, we. Anyways, you come to care, so the homie was good at routine. I told him to come in the front, right? Then became an issue. Like, hey, you shouldn't have a white boy run your program. And I told him a couple times, hey, look, your program is your program. You guys ain't gonna tell us how to do our program, point blank. You know, the, he might be whatever, but he's a camarada, you know. And it was left at that, but it kept repeating, little jabs they used to throw towards men, and it became an issue. I remember I told Chino and also from West LA, Chino from Michigan, and who was the other homie? Diablo. Diablo from King Cobras too was there. Um, anyways, I told him that's too. Let's get him off the yard. Let's make sure, they're speaking too much on our stuff. I was away, baby. I was used to all this war zone was a walk in the park for me, right? Please excuse that dog, man. Anyways, we didn't have a chance though. Unfortunately, the first ones on the yard, they took out the wood pile. And Ben came out, or Casper, he came out to the yard with the celly, and the gabachos rushed him. They straight up, rushed him because he was white and he should not be running with us, type of thing, right? There was a lot of that happening in the system at the time. It's known facts. Even from our side was the worst, probably. We would set off riots because there was some raza that was crib blood or was running with whoever that was in raza. Then we would make an issue, and of course, Crips ain't gonna tell him, "Oh, go ahead, rush him, remove him just because he's Crip." It's a disrespect. That later on it got squad settled, right? But at the moment, it was like that. And anyways, they got off, and then they separated us. So we have no chance to touch, touch, or get down with them at least, right? So, long story short, Ben went to High Desert. We went to Ironwood, and of course, I'm not going to track problems unless them individuals are there physically, then it will become a problem, right? I want to ask permission to whack. It's just, I was there, they heard the homie, my presence. The homie don't have to be there, but as a campolero, I gotta defend his presence like he's there, right? That's part of being a soldado or a good homie. But it didn't happen like that. The Woods went out to High Desert too. It's stupid. They had a rumble on the whole yard, and they still end up on the same GP yard, right? But anyways, vent caused conflict up there. I guess camaradas rushed the whole work pile, right? And became an issue. It became an issue to the point that it was back and forth. Woods are they're with their business. Every faction's with their business, just in their own way, right? And would turn on to pick up fierros too. They're always strapping, they're always holding something, and it just went, modified program, and then the minute you were able to program together, it went off. In the buildings, whatever, it was going off back and forth. And as you know, Terco, Psycho, and Hüero Sherm were on the yard. It was their program, their feria being stopped. And again, he was the most, to my respect, believes, right? And my knowings, nobody could touch Hüero and the power he had out there. No one. And he was the one that called the Cuetazo. Hey, if having this homie Casper up there, he started conflict when he got here, that it's been already a few months and there's no stop. It ain't gonna stop till we offer something. And the offering is, the person that started the conflict will be removed. But also them two gabachos from their side needed to bounce too. And you guys know Raul. It was, you guys have to do point and show your effort. If not, we could keep going, numbers wise. Well, you guys know. And yeah, up to the point where Modify started, they removed the gabachos. And when Sherm said, hey, the homie started conflict, he's no good. Believe me, there was no camarada at the moment that you would question Hüero. Because you'll be on that right too. It's camaradas, you might call it cowardness, whatever, but I knew better. Anyone knew better, and the homie Casper got hit and removed. And for what? For nada. For being white. And of course, they rushed him in Vacaville. So how was he not going to bring it up to an individual on the yard with them cats that did it just because he was white? And after we told him numerous of times, it's not on your programs, mind your business, he's a camarada, you have no say so, right? Anyways, the camarada was in the right, point and blank. But at that moment, none of that mattered. The only thing that mattered is he slowed the program down, and I'll say it for both. It was just that easy, right? For Hüero to squash the program by taking a good camarada's career. No hesitation, no buts or ifs. He has to go. And same for the wood. Where's the love for your woods? Remember this. When we're on the linea, anybody rushes us, paisanos, we're to run and boogie. If it's with Asians, whites, blacks, others, whatever it is, the minute we see who it's with, wherever you're at, that you start hunting for that race, they're going to feel because they touched their own. Well, it wasn't this case. The homie got the bad end of the stick, and it all came down to him being another race. You know, I'm sure, well, positive later on that, it was a question I asked him on why that decision. He says, first off, I don't have to explain any decision I make, and I understand that. I'm just saying it because we were in war together, and it was wrong what happened. I was there, and then he goes and says, "Look, I looked into it. He ain't worth more than the feria that I'm losing. Second of all, the rules and guidelines of camaradas, they're clear, right? But He seems to always tell everybody he was never from a neighborhood. And I'll just say this: BS was given for the answer of taking his career. At the end of the day, homie had not done anything. And this was actually the first Billy that I ever heard use them being resident. Other than that, other Billys I heard you even say he's a resident, they will smack your ears back, discipline you, because that's not an existing word amongst the program. He's a camarada, sureño, because he's there in case something kicks off with us following our program. But anyways, this was an unfortunate event, but it happens all the time. You interfere with whatever a Billy has going on. Remember, at this time, they weren't getting what they're getting now. They were in the shoe. They were depending on us to get everything they were getting. So imagine in the shoe, you slowed that program down. Oh, it was your butt. Believe it. I believe more so than now. But it's happening right now too. You cause a conflict. You cause the yard to go down. Even if you're in the right, you're gonna be in the wrong if you get it. So again, there's no need for this sub y baja, right? Up and down guessing game. Don't take that extras too. Being there sitting down, following another individual's program, being away from home. Something happens amongst your family, you have to buck up and take it and push. Believe me, as an ex-lifer, there's gonna be nights you're gonna be there dwelling, and even though you try to stay away from them thoughts on the streets, you wonders come in your head. I wonder how my Afita's doing. I wonder how that lady that was with me that would end up pushing forward with another individual, what's going on with her. I wonder how my kids are doing. That's where I talk about heartaches. And again, it's an up and down guessing game. There is no loyalty, no program inside. Whatever little that was there, it's definitely not there no more. Not one bit. So again, I know I sound like a broken record, but I'm not on here to press poison. Do you? Do your neighborhood. If you're there, do the program to the fullest. You're already there, go out with a bang. Now with the tail between your legs, going weenie, right? But if you're not there, again, love your neighborhood, love your homies, of course. And most of all, love your family. Stay true to yourself and loyal to loved ones.